Hello, guys. Welcome to Cafera Simplify, and we are diving in business communication. Yeah, questions I got from the past papers. The question says Bank of Uganda has raised a red flag on the government's huge appetite for loans, warning that if the trend isn't addressed, the cost of credit in Uganda will remain high as compared to regional markets, with commercial banks preferring to lend to the government rather than private sector. Required, assuming you are the deputy governor of the Bank of Uganda, assuming, write an advisory letter to the Speaker of Uganda, Anita Among, on the passage of law concerning the national's borrowing. Then distinguish between block, semi-block, and modified block formats of letter writing. So this question, when you when we are to analyze this question, the question requires us to write an advisory letter to the Speaker of Uganda on this matter. That means we are in the position of the Deputy Governor of Uganda. And what are we writing about? We are writing about, we are writing to the Speaker of Parliament. What is happening? There is a huge government appetite for loans. They're getting loans and loans instead of lending the money to private sectors. The cost of credit in Uganda will remain high as compared to regional markets, with commercial banks preferring to lend in the government rather than private sector. We notice the private sector where the which generates where people aim at profit maximization at the end, their returns. Yeah, more profits, more interests than when it is the government which borrows the money. They return less because they believe it is for the well-being of the people. And at the end, less money will be left to what? Less money will be left for private investors. That means they won't carry out investments. There will not be economic growth because you know very well that economic growth for capitalists is due to the private investors. Yeah. So our letter has to be titled and dated and addressed. Titled, dated, and addressed. So what is the title? Advisory letter to the Speaker of Uganda. Then we put here our address. Say our address will be Bank of, it will not be our name or your village, but it will be like the position in this matter where it is coming from. Bank of Uganda. We can put deputy Bank of Uganda, deputy governor of Bank of deputy governor. This will work as our address. Then deputy governor, say the headquarters is Kampala. If that side of I saw one also in Mbarara. Yeah, so probably this time it has come from Mbarara. Then we put the date, put 12 10th 2024. Yeah, Honorable Speaker. Then we put here Anita Among, Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Parliamentary of Uganda. Can eliminate that. Dear Honorable Speaker, then our advisory on law governing Uganda's borrowing. As the Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, I'm writing to advise on the urgent need. So we see that we go directly to the point. As the Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, I'm writing advice on the urgent need for legislation governing the nation's borrowing practices. Recent trends indicate a high appetite for loans, which has raised concerns regarding sustainability of Uganda's debt levels and its impact on the private sector financing. If the government now educate, highlight, and inform, because yeah, we know the speakers, they're not all knowing. So you elaborate more. If the government continues borrowing at this current rate, it risks crowding out private sector borrowers as commercial banks are increasingly inclined to lend to the government. This could elevate the cost of credit, making it difficult for local businesses to access the affordable financing, ultimately hindering economic growth. I recommend you would give your way forward. I recommend that the parliament consider drafting legislation that sets borrowing limits based on the national's GDP, with measures in place to prioritize private sector funding. Thank you for your attention to this important issue. Yours faithfully, you put the name of you put the name of the your name. Yours faithfully, Sir Stephen G. Chiwanuka. Yeah, I've never dreamt of this position, and I don't think I'll be there. I love more politics, maybe president. Stephen Chiwanuka Kafero, Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda. Yeah. Then we come to part B. Different differences between block, semi-block, and modified block formats of letter writing. So, what is block format? Block format is where all parts of the letter, like the way you're seeing here, including the headers, the dates, addresses, body, and signature, like exactly like this one, are aligned to the left margin. This is block. The paragraphs are not indented. We have seen we have not indented. And there is a line spacing between the sections. You have seen this line spacing between the introduction, then the recommendation, and conclusion. Yeah, what about semi-block format? Semi-block format similar to the block format, but with the indented paragraphs. Now for semi-block format, it is similar, but we indent the paragraphs, kind of like that. Semi-block, like how the bricks when they're building, they're not in the same straight line, that they are all starting from here. It is where it is getting its name. Semi-block, similar to block format, but with indented paragraphs. Date and closing lines are positioned to the right, while other parts are aligned to the left. Closing lines are positioned. Date and closing date and closing lines are positioned to the right. I think you remember those letters we used to write in primary. We'll get this one, then we indent it to the what? We indent them to the right, like that. Then here, this is where it is coming from. Then to who? That is semi-block, date and closing lines, and data to the right, while other parts to the left. Here you see this part is to the left, this is to the right. Then modified block format. The body of the letter is left aligned, but the date, closing, signature are aligned to the right. Paragraphs may or may not be indented depending on the specific. So modified, the body is to the left, but these others, but the date, closing, and signature are aligned to the right. So we put this is modified. We indent it to the right. We indent this also to the right. Yeah, and we are saying paragraphs may or may not be indented depending on the specific style. That is the end. Remember to subscribe.